Sports, comedy, pop culture, and everything in between. By idiots, for idiots. Welcome, sinners. This is Sports Idiot Nation.
Welcome into Sports Idiot Nation, the show that comes to you not once but twice a week. Today is Thursday, so it is I, Adam Marino, joined by Miles Behenemy. Let me just do that again.
The enemy. No, Adam, but that's a good one, though. You can throw in, like, enemy. You're an enemy.
Enemies, yeah. Miles Behenemy. Yeah. All right. Welcome into Sports Idiot Nation. Today is Thursday, so we are coming to you as we do every Monday and Thursday on Sports Idiot Nation. I am Adam Marino, joined by Miles behind enemy lines. And just this past week was National Best Friends Day. And here's how my brain works. I don't know if your brain works this way, but I immediately started thinking, I didn't think of Chandler and Phoebe. They would celebrate, right? What I thought of is more, who would not celebrate? I'm talking Jerry and Newman. I'm talking Michael Jordan and Isaiah Thomas. And it's like, the more you get thinking about that, it's more fun to talk through that. So, Miles, who are some of your
always
top
behind enemy lines.
Yeah, you are the enemy.
We going real? We going like Reggie Miller?
Ooh.
And Mr. New York, Spike Lee.
So
that comes to mind.
Who would celebrate is Tyrese Halliburton and Reggie Miller, as we know, just last month. Whatever happens over the next 10 years with Halliburton's career, it doesn't matter, because for them to both do that, that they probably are celebrating Best Friends Day. But Spike Lee, Reggie Miller, not anytime soon. Not no way, not no how. Let's talk through some of the other epic ones in the sports world. I was telling you about this, and I don't think you knew the story. So everyone knows the video of the blowout fight between Jeff Kent and Barry Bonds when they were on the Giants, and when Jeff Kent stole the MVP from Barry Bonds. Now, that's not why they fought, and that has nothing to do with anything. But just saying, Barry could have easily won the MVP that year as
Undertones.
Well. Yeah. But Barry was a little bit more flashy. Things came natural to him. His father was an MLB player, and a pretty solid one at that. And so things kind of came natural to him. He had his own way in the clubhouse. He was Barry, and then there was the team. And Jeff Kent was like the sergeant of the team. And he didn't, he had the police mustache. He was just a different kind of cat. And they mixed as well as oil and vinegar do naturally.
Or like Danny LaRusso and Johnny Lawrence, because you've got Danny LaRusso, the rich kid, even though he's the underdog and made to be the good guy. Johnny Lawrence is really the outcast who's made to be the villain.
Perfect. So they were on the same team, and they batted behind each other, third and fourth. One would hit a home run, and they would, okay, fist bump, whatever. But they hated each other, and that showed up only in that video that you see of just a brawl in the dugout. They are not celebrating Best Friends Day anytime soon. Also, in the basketball world, you automatically think of what the dream team could have been if they had Isaiah Thomas. However, because he does not celebrate that day with Michael Jordan, he was left off the dream
celebrates
team.
with Michael Jordan anyways. You got Charles Barkley, you got Scottie Pippen, who were both on teams. It's Michael Jordan versus everyone on an individual level. But Isaiah Thomas, of course, I love Isaiah because he was a Hoosier and he brought a national title in a year that IU had no business being there. But ever since then, he's always been, I'd say, peculiar at best, an offender of many, reaching far and wide at worst, because he's always been under at least scrutiny, if not many lawsuits. So I don't know. He always struck me as a bit of a sketchy dude, especially when we worked in front offices. So even though I'm the IU guy and they were rivals with a lot of Jordan teams from North Carolina at that time, and then many years later with the Pistons and Bulls, I still side with MJ on that one.
So here's another one that I just thought of. Anyone involved in the old, and we went to games before in Fort Wayne, CBA. The CBA was what the G League is now. And anyone involved in that old CBA does not celebrate Best Friends Day with Isaiah Thomas because he was the one who ran it into the ground.
It's like the most awkward and random names. Like I hear that, it's like, oh, it's the Sharks and Jets. Like West Side Story. Let's bring in West Side Story with the whites versus like the Puerto Rican immigrants. Although, well, Puerto Rico, last I checked, is still America. Like the super awkward. Like this is super corny. The CBA. Now, when we were kids growing up, the CBA was legit. Like the Fort Wayne Fury, still one of the sickest logos of all time. They made teal and black work with red, and it was absolutely dope. And playing in the Coliseum, and they would pack those stadiums. Back then, the Coliseum was probably only like 7,000, but for a CBA game, not even G League, and G League can get 700, can't even get 700 at a game. But the CBA games we went to was like at the local Rec Y or the McMillan Park, and there would be like 36 people there, and half of the people were related to the players, and the other kids were the gym rats that were probably doing something nefarious there in the meantime, wearing jeans and off-brand sneakers.
Kevin Nash from the WCW NWO was on the Fort Wayne Fury. Percy Miller, otherwise known as Master P.
Master P. Not P. Diddy. Not
speaking,
P. Diddy.
Speaking
Who
of,
has no
rap,
friends.
Speaking of rap, I wonder. I don't think that Kanye is celebrating with anybody. I don't think Drake is celebrating.
The little mustache guy's dead. No, I think of rap. Another good one where there was terrible rapping was the cheerleader "Bring It On" with the Toros and the Clovers. Another California bout right there, where you had oh my god, and Kirsten Dunst. Like, remember when she was actually considered to be attractive? I don't understand that still to this day. She's the worst Mary Jane of imaginable, not just of all time, imaginable. But she was bringing it on against ISIS. Like, how do you name? I get this is pre-terroristy times, but
still,
ISIS. Like, that just sounds. It's super terroristy. Like, don't name the black girl ISIS.
So this is how my brain. Sports Idiot Nation has to be indebted to my brain because who knows the way the show could go. But when you said ISIS, I originally thought Ice Ice Baby. And then I thought, who doesn't celebrate is Rob Van Winkle, a.k.a. Vanilla Ice.
Oh, my God.
And anyone who's mad at him for taking that ding, 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 ding.
No, it's different because it goes ding, 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 and then it's ding, 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 ding.
What are you doing? Yeah.
No, it's din 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 din. Clearly distinct from din 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 din.
Yeah. What? Like, listen
my
to
brain's
yourself.
Broken.
Yeah.
He needs to stop, collaborate, and listen.
So, shout out to a previous episode. You can look it up. It's called Cool as Ice because T.I., who's not with us today, but went on a Vanilla Ice tangent. And so we decided to name the episode Cool as Ice. So you can look that one up. That was pretty solid. All right. So who else is not celebrating? We're talking through National Best Friends Day, as last week it was National Best Friends Day.
So we always are talking about like the off sports, like NASCAR, and really the first one that comes to mind is clearly Ricky Bobby and Jean Gerard from Talladega Nights. So obviously, you always have the Frenchman coming in.
Don't they make out?
Well, it's psyops. So he had to get into his head to throw him off. But he was trying to take part in his customs, both the gay and French, because they're usually one and the same. So he tries to get into his head at the end after he really destroys his own career, but also with John C. Reilly, who plays Carl. What's his last name in it with the whole slingshot engaged, but they become rivals because he just kind of takes his wife. So really,
right in front of his face.
I think Ricky Bobby's wife is actually the villain in that movie. And maybe at the end, like if there's a sequel in a parallel universe, they do become buddies and they are celebrating. But I think that's one of the most underrated NASCAR rivalries of all time. Ricky Bobby, Jean Gerard. For years, that was peak hate in the professional sports world. And it just kind of faded.
Here is the unwanted trivia that you didn't know you didn't need. So the woman who plays Ricky Bobby's wife is the same female who plays the reporter who shows up multiple times in the Marvel movies. She was in the first Iron Man who sleeps with Tony. And then
that's right. Okay.
And then Pepper Potts says, "My job is to take the trash out." Which is
that's
epic,
right.
Which is an epic line. And here's the other trivia. She plays Pete Top, Kevin Bottom. She's the ex-wife.
Yeah. And that's league. The one I remember her for.
Her name
you
is
just got to get to the bottom. You got to scoop it up. Like, who has the name Megan? She is, okay, the more we think about it,
from episode 1.
She is not my friend. She is not celebrating whatsoever. Yeah. We're not celebrating with her. She is not welcome on the Sincast.
Yeah. She's an Ali Larder wannabe.
Oh, my gosh.
So, Ali Larder, of course, the whipped cream bikini on Varsity Blues. There's another one. Some people
Bobby,
maybe not
the head
celebrating.
Coach. Yeah, John Voight.
Yeah,
in most movies, not a lot of good friends.
Bud Kilmer.
Kilmer, very Texas name, very rural, very Texas. Yeah. I agree with that. And then they have a injured quarterback / wide receiver who apparently invents the spread offense mid movie, even though that existed for about a decade at that point, and it breaks everyone's brain. It's like no backs is not that unique,
right?
I think that now makes me think of Remember the Titans, where they're running shotgun. They're like, who do they think they are? The New York Jets? Like, no, the Jets didn't run a shotgun offense back in the 70s.
Yeah, that's a good one there too.
Movie errors, also not friends of our Syncast.
Oh, this is a good way to derail for sure. Like we talked about like a couple, and then we're like, oh, we'll probably have 57 that spawn off of it.
Right. Well, going down that road, and I don't care that it's only mid-June. College football season's approaching, and I don't like either of these schools. Of course, I hate one more than the other, but Bo Schembechler, Woody Hayes, anything Ohio State, Michigan, anything ever, definitely not celebrating best friends day.
Gene Katie and Bob Knight,
although they were kind of buddies. So Bob Knight for the most part was just a show, because we just hate Purdue in general, but Gene Katie and Joe Tiller, the two most famous coaches for basketball and football respectively, are great dudes. And then their best player of all time on the gridiron, obviously Drew Brees. And what I hate most about them is they're good dudes. Like I want them to be a-holes, because then they're easier to hate, but they're good dudes.
I thought the 49ers kick returner, Vinny Sutherland, I thought he was the best Purdue player of all time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, is that the one who muffed in 2011 and gave away a Super Bowl trip to the New York Football Giants?
No. That's Kyle Williams. No, we don't speak of him. You don't put that juju on me. Do not wish that on me.
Not celebrating Best Friends Day with Adam today. People don't forget.
That was in second grade, Evan.
Yeah. It was like 8 years ago, asshole.
Yeah. People don't forget. Yeah. Oh, there's
and then
one.
obviously
Fogel. Who's he not celebrate with Seth? Well, Fogel thinks he's celebrating. That's the dynamic there.
You're
one
right.
thinks he's celebrating with the other, and the other one's like, "Get away from me."
That's always awkward. I do enjoy that though. Like what you have Tom Grossi with his short bits. Obviously he's the diehard Packers fan with the Pack cast. But with the Tennessee Titans player who thinks he's like best friends with the Texans, who's like the ultimate villain, and the Titans the mock is the biggest dum-dum ever. He's like, "'Cause we're best friends." No. We're not. And then no, I see what you're doing there. You're trying to play them so they don't know. You don't want them to know. Inside,
best
really
friend,
like
I know
this.
how you are. Yeah.
Now that ultimately puts me behind enemy lines being, well, I was just in Houston the other week, and, well, it's there. Dallas is a better city, unequivocally. But it exists. But I got to check it out because I got to check out the enemies.
I got one.
I can report back to my friends.
How about those in Houston who are butthurt over any move that the Tennessee Titans make? If they move their left leg, they're like, "Oh, that should have been us," or like, "That was our franchise." Like, guys, I just moved my left. I just put on my cleat. That's all I did.
How about build a stadium for your team and actually make them want to play in your city instead of the Addams family? Up and moving to Tennessee. I really wish the Titans would have just gone ahead and stayed the Oilers, because that would have been ultimate. But the fact that they're really trying to twist the knife in every season and it would help if they actually won more when they wear the powder blues. But it's fun for me. It's fun for TI seeing doing that to our best friends in Houston.
Two reminders for you. One is to follow Sports Idiot Nation wherever you get your social media. Be a part of the Idiot Verse. The newest one to the gang is, of course, Gamer Idiot Nation. But we have Puck, we have Gridiron, you name it, we got it. And the second reminder is to remind everyone that I have a 10-point favorite wager of when the Titans play the Niners coming up this NFL season. I'm giving TI 10 points. I think we can win by at least 11.
A good friendly wager.
Right. We can celebrate together as we decided not to. He's not here. He's our friend, but
little Malice. So as we're talking about that and more friendly wagers, I keep thinking about back to our first one we mentioned with Reggie Miller and Spike Lee. And then when I think Pacers, I'm like, Indy teams, and you know this because you've lived in Indiana for the majority of your life, the Pacers
unfortunately
and the Colts usually a little mundane. That's okay. It's mundane. It's great. I know. And the Pacers and Colts, obviously, they win. They've won a championship here and there with the Colts, and the Pacers are decent at times. But overall, they're just kind of boring. They're just kind of there. And I get it. I'm not being biased. Like the Titans and Predators and Grizzlies are the same way. So I get it. It's fine. So who could really hate like with the Pacers? Well, then I think of Malice at the Palace. Ron Artest versus, well, half of Detroit. That was a very friendly tussle.
Jermaine O'Neal. That guy, he clocked. And thank God that someone spilled a drink prior, because Jermaine O'Neal, if you remember that video, I remember it like it was 10 years ago. He slips before he cocks back to clock that guy. And he makes contact, but if he doesn't slip on that soda, he
probably
ends
kills
the guy's life.
Kills him.
No, he's 7 foot 260. Like what? He's like a brick house. He could have been they could have won the championship. He could have been MVP. Reggie Miller, don't get him started. He was so adamant that was the best Pacers team. They had taken it to Detroit, who was like the bee's knees of the NBA, and they took it to them. They were drubbing them. And that's how the Malice happened, is because they were drubbing them, and at the free throw line, they were talking stuff, and then there was a hard, needless foul, and there it went. it went from there.
Yeah, Ben Wallace was involved,
but if Jermaine O'Neal does not slip, like he's in jail, like he's probably like he's still there.
Yeah, right in Oakland State Penitentiary, Oakland County, that is.
Crazy Malice at the Palace.
That's funny.
You're like,
and then Ron Arce, excuse me, Meta World Peace, very friendly name.
Great name.
But that should be illegal. That should be illegal for someone that's hot-headed on there. And then you think of all the hotheads that had no friends, like Rasheed Wallace. You grew up a West Coast guy. Now I get that the early 2000s the Warriors weren't very good, but Rasheed Wallace, when he was with the Blazers, going up against those Lakers team, the Jailblazers, yeah. Steve Smith, he didn't do nothing, ref. He didn't do it. Get away from me, Steve. He looked at me. He was very menacing. So Rasheed Wallace, short white refs, not close friends, not celebrating today.
Yeah, unless Tim Donaghy was betting on him.
Right, yeah, in context, but of course he was a Laker guy. We all know it. No Kings, no Blazers, all Lakers.
Okay, so before we get out of here, we're going to leave you with a couple more not celebrating Best Friends Day, but a reminder, be sure to click the link, the printful link for all things Sports Idiot Nation. You can find your gear, all stuff Sports Idiot Nation. Be sure to follow on Facebook, Instagram, all the social medias. But as we think best friends and who is not celebrating, I know you automatically think of like heated rivals of your Bird and Magic and Joe Frazier and Muhammad Ali. But as we shift maybe to the ladies' side, then it gets good because
Nancy Kerrigan, Tanya Harding, right?
Well, I was thinking, one, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese.
A little bit more modern, but they like to beat the hell out of each other, so much obliged.
and they would like to. You can just tell, like, get them in a ring, celebrity death match or something.
Although I could see a lot of parallels because you have the one like who's seeing the prim and proper, like the face of the league versus the more underdog blue collar, the one that's actually hated. So you got your Tanya Harding like Angel Reese. So I track.
Yeah, no, that's solid, and we like kind of seeing that develop. I like. Is it bad that I hope it gets worse? Like I hope every time they play,
like Anakin Skywalker gets more evil as he, consider what side am I going to, and then Obi-Wan's trying to pull him back, and they just no. A simple pod race as a kid isn't going to make you the hero for 7 movies. Well, I guess it's like 12 now, but
I think that might be the most epic of all galaxies, if you will.
Even in the outer posts.
Yeah.
No, so, it's really cool though that we actually are able to make something of the WNBA because we rip on it tirelessly. But our most viewed X post, Twitter, our most viewed YouTube short that's like over 10 grand now, and our most viewed Facebook video that's like 70,000 is of a white and black girl going at it. So it's modern day, Tanya Harding, which I get they're both white, but Tanya Harding was, she's black to us. And then you have the Clovers and the Toros of Bring It On and the cheerleading verse. And now you got the WNBA trying to be relevant now.
So this is full circle. In the opening, we talked about Jerry and Newman. And in an episode of Seinfeld, we need to look to the cookie, Elaine. The black and white cookie is what he eats. And then what happens? He pukes. He had like a 20-year run of no puking.
That's like what the WNBA does to me after watching for like 10 minutes. Makes me want to throw up.
Oh, man.
It's still bad. But I think it's only going to get worse because they realize, and the WNBA is going to feed into it. And I think that they're going to try to multiply these rivalries in the league. Like they're going to give Paige Burker down here in Dallas, the Wings, a villain as well. It's not going to rival it because you can't outdo what Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are already building.
No,
and a little cat fight here and there didn't hurt anyone. I mean, it could, but their own. Now in this version, it'd be Chicago, Indiana instead of Detroit, Indiana, because I don't think Does the Detroit Shock back in the day? I'm sure they're defunct now. I don't know because I don't care and don't pay attention. But a little a Chicago, Indiana version of Malice at the Palace, like the brawl of no. There's no Duval. There's no Jacksonville involved
there's
here.
No
we'll find it.
Yeah,
Duval.
It's so awkward.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah, that's embarrassing.
We hate Jacksonville. Not invited, along with Houston. Not invited to Friends Day either.
Yeah. All right. So that's gonna do it for us on Sports Idiot Nation. Remember to follow us on all your social media platforms, and we will see you Monday.
Okay, all you sinners, follow Sports Idiot Nation on TikTok, X, and Instagram. Like us on Facebook, and remember, the most fun way to watch us is on YouTube every Monday and Thursday. Be sure to hit the notification bell so you can be updated when new content drops. Remember, the podcast can also be found on the usual suspects of Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Always remember, don't be an idiot.
Sinner.